can all hear you, Tony, and you can take it away.
Hello. Can you guys hear me okay?
Sounds good.
Fantastic. All right. So here's the super secret thing to your career. Join an association. I'm a big fan of associations, and this association, this chapter, has helped me immensely in my career. So I know we ask for volunteers, but I implore you, like, all right, don't tell anybody, but like, even if you don't join this association, join a associate, right? Join something that's in your profession. It will do wonders for your networking, your career, your friendships. I can't say enough about it. So, and little old me was a past president of the organization, and if I can do it, you guys can too. So definitely, please get involved. It will help you guys out immensely. All right. So let's make sure I am sharing the right screen. So what are you guys seeing right now? Can you guys see my
face and a bunch of logos?
There we go. Oh, let's go back
Yeah.
a level here. Okay. Bunch of logos in my face. Okay, perfect. All right. All right, my name is Tony Veroeven. I am a past president of the AMA Madison chapter. I've been volunteering since 2014. Before that, I had lurked on the association for a long time, and finally decided to join up. I have served in association management since 2015, but before that, I sold to associations for 9 years prior to that. So you might say I love associations. And I'm involved in a lot of them. I just earned my professional credential in January, the CAE. And I'm the Director of Sales and Marketing at Amped Association Management. Amped Association Management is basically, I always kind of liken it, it's almost like a marketing agency, but for associations, right? We're the fiduciary. We take care of all their operations. We take care of all their finances. We answer the phone when you call that association. We're their staff. Right? There's an account executive that acts as the executive director. So there's a lot of parallels between that and an agency, actually. So that way the board can focus in on strategy and focus on their own industry versus like deciding, gee, what kind of pizza should we order for craft marketing? That sort of thing, right? So that is a little bit about me. I'm a member of all these organizations, and I got a sneeze coming, so I might have to pause for a second. All right, here we go. And so there's an association for associations. There's an association for association management companies. There is an audience for everything and everyone, as you guys are probably figured out. So, okay, these are some of my own. We have 23 clients at Amped, but these are just a few of the ones that I've served on or worked adjacent to. I got to tell you, one of my favorites was working on FSGA. I mean, when the client and your boss tells you you can play fantasy football at work and don't have to hide it, that's pretty fun. That's pretty cool. So which we did. So and then I currently work on. I'm the executive director of the Wisconsin Tavern League Foundation that administers Safe Ride. That's pretty cool. And then I'm the VP of External Relations for the Tavern League of Wisconsin, and an associate director for the National Air Filtration Association. So I can't see you guys, but maybe Megan or Kelly or somebody just kind of, can you give me kind of a read of who is there, like, and maybe you guys raise your hands of like, is anybody like dedicated marketing staff for your association or nonprofit? Okay, cool. Okay. What about maybe you do marketing, but you're also in an administrative role? Or you're a board, you're a volunteer, or you're the executive director or the team of one? Yeah, okay. Or maybe you're just here for the beer, right? That's okay too. I'm okay. Beer and pizza, we're cool. If you haven't tried, my favorite is Half Acre. That brewery is awesome. They're down in Chicago, and I just was down at Garth's and the Bodum. I think it's how you say Bottom or Bodum. Try that if you need a hint. I like that one. All right. So today's agenda: 5 tips for nonprofit marketing success. We'll get through all of that. You can ask any questions anytime. So raise your hand. Let somebody, they'll relay the message to me. And then I want to also I want you to witness the nicest, most validating message I've ever received in my career, at least in recent history. And then at the end, I always say sometimes the smartest person is in the room isn't the person with the microphone or at the head of the room. It's the people out in the crowd. So no doubt you guys have tons of other hints and tricks for all of us. So I'd love to have everybody come up to the microphone and share what you guys are tools that I don't know about that you'd like to share with everybody as well. All right, let's keep moving. All right. So what do associations and nonprofits market? Right? Well, they're nonprofits. So that means they're not trying to make a profit, right? Well, as it's often said, no margin, no mission. And associations, they do make a profit. It's just there's no shareholders, right? It's a tax position. It's not a strategy, right? So you do have to market. You have to bring in attendees. You gotta sell memberships. You gotta sell certifications and education and training books and fundraising, and bring in sponsorships. There's lots of things to sell. In fact, you could argue, I do argue, that it might be more challenging to do this versus maybe a corporation that has, a couple services or a couple products, but maybe those products are kind of in the same vein. In associations and nonprofits, it's nonstop. It's 12 months of the year. And as soon as you finish it with one thing, you're already thinking about next year as well. We're not thinking about quarters. We're thinking about, years ahead, right? Where do you have your next event? I got to plan that out, right? Farther out than probably a wedding, I would say. All right. So before we begin, do you know your numbers, right? You can't get there unless you know where you're going. So if you've got a strategic framework or a strategic plan every year, this AMA chapter goes through a strategic planning process, right? And all the board has inputs. We talk to our volunteers and we create a strategic plan so that we know where we want to go and how to get there, right? So do you have a strategic plan? I don't know, right? So it's going to be hard to raise numbers and focus on anything unless you have some kind of clear direction from your board. And then how do you know how well you're doing, right? So hopefully you've got some sort of KPI indicator or dashboard that you kind of keep track of. So that way you know which numbers to lean into, right? So I'm focusing in on NAFA's annual conference right now. It's the middle of October. You're going to see some other stuff on it later in these slides. And so when the executive director says, "Hey, Tony, we've got the room block to fill. Can you lean into that?" Right. Well, then I'm gonna lean into that on the next few emails or something like that, right? So that there's probably a lot of parallels to that to corporate Ville as well. But that just kind of gives you an indication of we got to be pretty agile. All right. So what at the end of the line, at the end of the day, what numbers need to move? All right. So what does your board of directors expect your team to deliver? Right. So let's put this in terms of food or a fancy, charcuterie. Are they going to expect you to deliver this? That's pretty fancy. It looks pretty good, right? Something like this. But maybe you only have this for your marketing budget. It's probably like this, actually, right? The bottom of the saltine can, it's what I crumble up in my chili in the winter, right? This is what you got to deal with. So I don't know if I can get you back up to the fancy charcuterie, but let's get you a nice Lunchable. How's that? A nice Lunchable, an upgrade from this. I don't know. So let's try to get you an upgrade and get you expand, amplify what you're already doing and make some headway. So I'm going to give you a lot. I'm going to give you 5 tips, and then a lot of these tips have little sub tips. So we're going to kind of move through this. Pick one or two, right? Try something. I just got back from Nashville from the American Society of Association Executives. And one of the keynote was talking about experimenting, right? Do your one thing really well, move your cruise ship, but send out little speedboats to experiment, right? Off to the little island, see what's out there, okay? That was the kind of the overarching theme. Experiment, try new things. All right. And maybe Megan or Kelly, just tell me, does everybody know what a buyer persona, does everybody in the crowd know what a buyer persona is? Yes? I can't hear you, but yeah, it looks like yes. Okay, so we know what buyer personas is, right? You put together an aggregate of a person, and then you market to that person, right? And so, if you're a team of one, I don't have time for that. I don't have time to make 8 or 10 detailed personas, marketing Mary, Johnny Joseph with all these little things. He's got 2.5 kids. I don't have time for that. Neither do you, probably, right? So what I'm saying is take a little shortcut, right? It's going to be okay, right? You're a team of 1 or 2. Trade the buyer persona exercise for audience development, right? So squish it in a little bit, get some aggregate your audiences a bit. Unless you have a lot of time. I mean, I'm not saying don't do audience or don't do personas, but if you do have time, do that. But unless you have time, let's go with like a marketing communications plan grid instead. So let's see what that looks like here. So how do you develop audiences, right? Well, first of all, hopefully you have some sort of committee or a subset of your membership or your nonprofit that you can consult, because you're probably not if you're staff, you're not the subject matter expert. Now, I know a lot about air filtration, this wide but this thick, right? I'm not the subject matter expert, right? So I got to consult my marketing and membership committee. And so over the course of the next few meetings, let's identify all the stakeholders. And I put here that you want to reach, but actually there's kind of a 0.5 before this, right? Identify all the stakeholders that touch your organization, right? Even though you may not want to market to them. Who are they? You're like, who's out there, right? Then let's start to prioritize who you want to reach, and kind of keep winnowing down to, okay, we got 3 to 5, and now you're going to go to define this audience's why, right? So maybe an audience in your world is like this emerging professional, right? This emerging professional or a young professional who's coming out of the woodwork. You've got these boomers retiring, and you need to have more people backfill into the industry. How do you reach them, right? So that might be one strategy. You've got to define their why. You got to define what your challenge, your organization can help them with. And then what's your value proposition? And then what is the messaging you're going to target with them, right? And then you can get into, what platforms you're going to reach them on, right? So, but that's still too many, right? So of the 3 of the 5, what do you have time for this year? Because are you going to write 8 or 10 emails for a persona? Probably not. Are you going to write 3 to 5 emails per email targeting different personas or different audiences? Probably not. You really only have time for a couple, right? So in a strategic plan, you can't do the whole strategic plan, a 5-year strategic plan in 1 year, right? You got to break it up. So that's what we're doing here at NAFA, right? And other groups that we've done. We've started to break it out, and I'm going to choose 2 that I can impact this year. That's low-hanging fruit, right? And then I'm going to create a Marcom grid plan for each audience. And I'm going to go back to my committee, of course, and or whoever my focus group is, to get some buy-in and make sure they understand that I'm on the right track. Okay. All right. So I don't expect you to read this, but just know that this is kind of what we end up with, right? We ended up with a spreadsheet, a bunch of tabs, like a master list, and then each audience is across the bottom here, right? So down the line here, I've got audience. So I've got, this was for an equipment management professionals, these people that run fleets, run heavy equipment fleets, right? So I've got medium contractor owners, I've got aspiring equipment managers, rental fleet managers, and dealers. So this year we decided to work on aspiring equipment managers and dealers. I only got room for 2. Now, am I going to ignore the other 3? No, but I'm going to focus in on the 2. And when it comes time and a place to write something for the other 3, I've already got this kind of built out, and I can focus in on them. So across the top, I've got audience, primary challenge, brand, platforms, message, and frequency and cost. So this took like we meet once a month, right? So this took like 3 or 4 months to kind of build out. So you got to have some patience in there, unless you can really, get together in person with your people to kind of hammer this out. But this might take some time and patience on your part and on their part with the committees, as you have to have the process to go through. So primary challenge: what can your organization solve? What is the value proposition? What is your brand to them? And then at the end, over here in the message, what should people understand or do? What is your message to that particular group, right? So I think if you start to flex this out and flesh this out, you're going to start to see like, all right, when I write a landing page, when I write an email, right, I'm going to consult this. I'm going to print this out, or I'm going to have this handy, and I'm going to kind of know better what I'm supposed to say here versus like, the scatter approach where you just write, this chapter, right? This chapter, I've been there, right? We have one email list and we write one newsletter, and even though we don't have time, right? We're all busy marketing professionals. We don't have time to write 5 different messages, right? But we know that we have emerging marketing professionals. We have, CMOs, we have marketing managers, we have different people across the spectrum of this career. So we have to kind of group them so we can do our best to kind of make things resonate. Stop me anytime if there's anything you want to talk further about. I'll keep moving. So here's what this kind of looks up close and personal, right? Aspiring equipment managers. So if they're somebody who used to be, fix equipment, and now they want to move up into equipment management, which is a step up. They want to be more credible and influential to the industry and their organization. What is our value proposition here? To acquire the education and communicate better through financial data and operations report. These people have come through and fixed equipment. They know almost nil about accounting, right? And how to read a balance sheet, right? So we're going to help them do that. What are we going to do to help them do that? If you participate in this organization, we're going to expand your horizons and build new opportunities so that you can get a promotion, right? And a raise and get recognized, right? That's the idea. So that's just kind of a quick look at what kind of one of these audiences kind of exercises might look like for you. I actually have all of this stuff at the end. There's a link that you'll be able to download all of this stuff as a template just to kind of give yourself a little starting point, okay? All right, tip number 2, leverage your stakeholders, relationships, and network. I learned this from AMA Madison. We do this all the time. We still do this, right? If you got here because maybe you weren't aware of us, but someone liked this on LinkedIn, or somehow you got tagged somehow, we do this quite a bit, right? In fact, it's not unreasonable for us to get 1,000 views on a LinkedIn post that everybody helps amplify. So we're going to go through and give you some examples on here, but social, make your board and your volunteers do your bidding, right? They should be social media ambassadors. Get some graphics out there that they can share your events. Do some great work in LinkedIn and Facebook tagging. And then I'm also going to share an event justification kit, which you can help maybe that emerging professional get their boss to pay for a trip to your conference, right? We'll share that as well. All right, so where do we start? Well, would you believe it or not, I have board members right now at NAFA that have not liked social media, and they haven't put their credentials on their LinkedIn. I mean, and believe it or not, I just found a board member I was not connected to. I mean, okay, so I got to take my own medicine here, but as simple as making sure that your members like your social media, it's back to the basics, right? Making sure, and then coaching them up to, hey, when it's appropriate, mention your social media tag. Work with members to highlight big events like, hey, such and such member, I just got back from blank annual conference, had a great time. Here's my pictures, tag, hashtag, right? So amplify your message. Make sure that all of your board members and volunteers have put their credentials or linked on their profile or linked to your organization through LinkedIn. Now I'm focusing on LinkedIn because I do a lot of trade associations here, so a lot of people are on LinkedIn presence. But you'll have to if your folks are on different platforms, you might have to modify this a bit. And then on here, if you look at my LinkedIn profile, you're going to see that I was the past president and then volunteer person and the communicate, right? You're going to see, I'm going to be linked. So if you look me up, you're going to see my history and all the organizations I volunteer for, right? That's good. That's free advertising and free links for you guys. Let's see some other examples. So at NAFA, we have this one pager that gets printed in our trade publication, and we also have a version of this on our website as well. And it's some of the stuff we just talked about, right? Follow, tag, and it tells them specific accounts, right? Go to NAFA HQ on Twitter. Got to go here for LinkedIn. Another cool thing is if you are an association and you have like partners, maybe you have sponsors, make sure you have a partner page. I forgot to put a screenshot of that, but let's say you're, let's say AMA Madison, partners with, we partner with Windbound, and we partner with Garth's Brew Bar, and we have AMA Madison, and maybe we host this other thing with PRSA and other, social media breakfast, that sort of stuff. Like, have a page like that you can do backlinks back and forth to. Again, more amplification of each other's messages. Help each other out. All right, now this one's a little more complicated, but it's kind of a long play. But and it might be, you may not have the authority to do this yourself, but so you might need to work with your board or your executive director on this. But if you create even friendly, informal relationship with other associations, it's going to go a long ways, right? Just getting them to share your social media and like each other's stuff is going to help. This is beyond that, right? We started there, but now we've got this barter agreement with a related organization, and we go to their trade show every 18 months. We get a free booth. We just have to get there. And in return, and by the way, so when we get there, there's 100 exhibitors. They're all could be our members, right? I get to talk to all of them. They all come visit our booth. And then in return, they get to, use our list. It's all GDPR good. They send us in a file I import, and I send it out on their behalf. So I'm not just, I'm not just handing over my list. But it's a great trade. It's a great deal for both of us to be able to access each other's lists and each other's audience. All right, so you're no doubt going to have some star performers out there. Brandon is my star performer out there. Look at what he did. He's doing almost all the things I suggested here. So there's Brandon. He's got his CAFS. He's a certified air filtration specialist. He's tagging us. I didn't even ask him. He put on the hashtag, and then we created these little graphics to say I'm sponsoring, I'm speaking, I'm attending, and we just put those on our event page and tell people to go download those and repost those. And so Brandon gets a gold star here. And of course, again, I'm accessing all the people I don't have access to on his whole network. Over here, you can see what he did. He's listed himself as the marketing committee chair there, and then that's a link to our company page, right, on LinkedIn. And then there's other ways that you might be able to help coach. You're going to become friends with other marketing managers and marketing folks at other organizations, maybe at your member companies or member organizations, right? So Roberta is our outgoing president, but last year they posted this. Congratulations, Roberta, you're a new president. There's NAFA. They tagged us. We can share and amplify it again. So we've really created a great machine on here. And again, I got to say that AMA Madison also does, again, a great job. This is where I learned some of this stuff from, because we post a great craft marketing or signature speaker series or annual conference or whatever we're doing, and then the board gets tagged, all the volunteers get tagged, then those people like it, then they share it, and again, it goes from there. And little old us, little tiny AMA Madison can pull them in when we need to. All right, here's that event justification letter. There's actually 2 pages here, but it was a wall of text, and I didn't want to make everybody cross-eyed. But the first page is kind of like how to talk to your supervisor. Here's what you say. Here's the value proposition. Here's what you do. This is actually a letter in here that is, it's just a Word doc, right? They can take it and change it however they want. But it says, "Dear boss, I want to go to this conference. Here's when it is. Here's what I plan to learn. Here's how much it costs. Here's what everything is going to cost. Please, will you consider sending me for X amount of thousands of dollars," right? Who doesn't want this person to stay at your company, first of all, right? We're talking for a keeping a great employee. I'm like, man, you got to find the money to send this person. And who doesn't want a person like this to take advantage of their career opportunities like that? So you better send that person to the conference. All right. Whew. We all good? Thumbs up? All right. All right. Tip number 3, use all the free or cheap tools. All right. Now, one of these I've been using for years. 2 of these I just learned about last week. All right. So everybody know Canva? Maybe don't know. Yeah. Some people know Canva. Canva will make you look like a graphic designer, even though you color outside the lines like me, right? It's a great tool. It's part graphic design tool, photo and video editor. The fancy picture of the charcuterie, got it from the stock photo library. It's awesome. So there's a great amount of stuff there. If there's any 501c3s out there, you get a free pro version. That's cool. But let me tell you, if you only have $120 in your budget, man, I would, if I worked for it, I would probably spend $120 in my own pocket. If I worked for a small organization and they didn't want to pay for it, it's that good. All right. So, it will save your life. It'll make you look good. And so that's all I have to say about that. We use it at Amped, all the time. Powtoon is something I just learned about. I don't know if anybody else has heard about this, but it's super cool. It's kind of all-in-one video and presentation tool. Make really cool infographics or short little videos. Again, make you look like a hero, look like a star, even though you don't know how to program it. It's going to look cool. Again, free with the Powtoon branding, a 3-minute limit. Of course, there's a premium version if you want to go there. Anybody heard of SparkToro? Yep, I had one or 2 thumbs up there. SparkToro. Oh my God, I haven't used it, but I'm really looking forward. Now, go back to those audience discussion we just talked about, right? SparkToro, it's a research tool that allows you to see where your customers visit. So if you're trying to develop content or maybe even advertise in front of them or get in front of them, it's going to show you like what social accounts they follow. If you have the premium version, you can see what podcasts they listen to, what other sites they visit. The free version does 5 searches per month. So if you're careful, you might be able to get by on that on a couple searches here. So that's my next toy to play with. I can't wait for that. So that's pretty cool. All right. Tip number 4, forget the rules and myths about email marketing. We can't send on that certain day. We can't send more than 3 times a week. We only send it to this way, right? We have to send all this information, right? These are all myths and things that I've convinced myself, and maybe you too, right? So we want to change it up, right? With email marketing. Change how you're doing things, pattern interrupt, change your tone, play hard to get a little bit here. And then and also follow this guy. He spoke at our signature speaker series 2021, February 2021. Jay Schwartelson, he's at World Data on Twitter. Is great stuff out there. So I'll show you. All right, here we go. All right. Oh yeah, here's the myths, right? We only send on blank on Monday mornings or whatever days. We never do it on that. We can't email a list more than once a week. Maybe, maybe not. Have you tested it? Have you tried this? What happens, right? Remember we talked about experiments. Try something new, right? Get outside your box. You can send more than once a week. What if you tried this? This is from Jay. Send from different names, right? So if you're a marketing professional and you've only got so much bandwidth in your head, we all do, right? And you get an email from resources, events, and there's Matt at and whatever. I don't know which one you're going to click on, but chances are maybe one of these gets your attention, depending on what kind of mindset you're in or what you're focusing in on that day or that week or that month, right? So I can send email from NAFA in the same week that says one's from promoting the NAFA webinar. And then maybe the next day I send, this one's from NAFA annual conference. This is the same email, nafa@nafahq.org. It's the same email. I'm just changing the alias name, right? Or the from name. That way it's going to sort different in their inbox. And, Maybe they don't all click, but one of those might resonate with them depending on where they're at or who they are, right? So I'm not saying you should now send 20 emails a week, right? But what Jay would say is you can send a lot more email than you are to the point of before they unsubscribe, right? So be careful, but try something new, okay? The from, right? So talking about the from, here's another one, right? If it always comes from the NAFA, the National Air Filtration Association, or if it always comes from AMA Madison, it's impersonal. Try having it sent from Kelly. Send it from Odessa, right? What happened? Would you open it if you knew Odessa from Madison? I don't know. Try it. Try something different. So Jay says that. Now, this is B2B and B2C, right? We're not talking nonprofits, but there's got to be some truth in here somewhere for us, right? Open rates increased 22 to 28%. Give it a try. All right. Change your tone. Maybe you work for a stuffy medical association, right? And you're normally pretty buttoned up. Try being a little cheeky, right? Try going 3 degrees to the left or right. See what happens, right? Be careful. Don't get fired. But, try something different, right? So maybe you always talk like this. It's very stern and all your messages look like this guy, right? Well, you're probably not going to go to this, right? That's crazy. Don't get crazy. But how about a little side smirk, right? Just be a little cheeky, have a little bit of maybe a little humor or a little nod or a side wink. That we're all human, right? This humans sending emails to humans, right? So just try something a little different in your messaging. That includes your subject lines, which we're going to cover up here in a second, right? If you give all the information in the subject line and body, registration now open, register by August 29th. I don't need to open that email. I know exactly what I need to know. Next, delete, right? So there's no reason to open or click that. So I just sent this email last week. It's from Outlook, but this could apply in Constant Contact as well, right? I sent this as an Outlook. I sent this to all my affiliate suppliers at the Tavern League, and I said, "Hey guys, I need help supporting our cooler bags for our golf outing next month." Did I tell them how much it was? Nope. Did I even tell them up in the subject line what it was for? Nope. These will be used for years with your logo on them. I got 7 emails and 3 phone calls, and then more after that. I lost count, right? So I started conversations. Now, in my 19-year career, a sales career, my sales trainer says your job is to get information, not to give it, right? So that's part of my sales career. That's kind of holding over here. I'm a salesperson here. I'm trying to sell sponsorship, right? My job is not to tell you it's $5,000 so that person just deletes right away. My job is to get fish in the boat. So try to be a little cheeky. Try to be a little changed. Don't give all the information away. All right, you knew this was coming. If you know me and you've seen me around, I'm a big fan of videos and podcasts. Look at this ridiculous microphone I have, right? I'm a radio guy wannabe. I used to be a DJ at a roller rink 100 years ago. I was at a college radio station. I was a DJ for weddings and teen dances and school dance, right? So, all right, I got the microphone. Sue me, right? It is what it is. So, start a series, right? Be the face of your organization or the side, right? Give your organization a little bit of personality, right? Your website can only convey so much. Even your social media can convey so much, and it only has so much reach. But if we've heard it once, we've heard it 100 times. You heard it a few months ago from Faith Dye, right? This world is consuming video like no other time, right? It's now more and more and more and more, right? So you're not going to be too late. Like the sooner you start, the better. I've started, I don't know, at least 5 podcasts for different organizations, for different clients. I don't know anything about air filtration. I just ask questions, right? I'm from sales. I can talk. Listen to me talk. I can go on for hours, right? I don't know anything about industrial automation and manufacturing. But we'll talk about that one in a second, right? This one's architecture. I don't know anything about that. You don't have to be a subject matter expert in the organization that your organization in the industry it serves, right? You just have to kind of be able to play goalie, right? Keep it in bounds. This little video down here I just did a couple weeks ago. I interviewed the speaker, right? We're promoting the conference. So why not talk to one of the speakers and say, hey, Don, what are you talking about? Tell us what we're going to learn in your conversation. So bring us in a little bit. And the program the website and the program only tells me so much. I can see it's Don Stanley. He's with this company, and I read a 3-line description, right? But now I've given a little dimension to his talk. Hopefully that brings it. And we are at like 70%, budget for our revenue. I got to say, like, what we're doing at NAFA is got to be helping, right? So we're already there, and we've got, a month and a half to go. We're not sweating attendance right now, which is, sometimes not always the case with other organizations. Okay, so March of 2020, we all know what happened. Sometimes you got to be real quick about making a video, right? So there's a speaker, there's an author. Her name is Adele Sears. You might want to write this one down if you like this one, if you like this idea. Adele, Adele Cehrs, Adele Sears. She wrote a book called Spike Your Brand ROI, right? And this was kind of a case in point. The idea is that sometimes things happen and you don't have control of it, but sometimes you can leverage that event. Sometimes you do know when it's going to happen, right? You do know when your president's going to take over and be part of an organization. You can spike your brand, right? That's what this other organization did for Roberta, the president of NAFA, right? Sometimes a pandemic happens, right? Well, guess what? NAFA was pretty popular, has been pretty popular in the last 2.5 years. In fact, we did this webinar 2 weeks into the shutdown. And, this is a fresh screenshot from a couple days ago. It's 5,400 views on air filtration, right? This guy is, a pretty well-renowned researcher at the University of Toronto, knows how air flows around buildings and all that kind of stuff, how filters work. And so we had like 500 people on the webinar, and then 5,000 people have listened to this since. It's still timely. And so, in fact, a few months into the pandemic, in the shutdown, we had to actually upgrade our hosting on our website because we're running out of bandwidth. That's how crazy things were. So anyway, so where do you start? Well, you start simple, start slow. If you've done 0 videos or anything like that, start with like your board chair, right? Or start with your executive director, or start with someone, right? Interview speakers. Maybe you've got an annual award. Start with that. Sponsors, right? Just do a 3 or 5 minute video interview. There's a lot of free tools out there for that. Now, make your videos with those researched audiences in mind. Don't make them for everybody. Make sure that you have, a few kind of, bulleted points of questions that you're going to try to hit and try to be interesting for those people, right? So don't make it for everybody. Every association has an audience, right? Every podcast or video has an audience, right? So it doesn't matter how niche it is. I use Zencaster if I'm going to do a video, kind of live remote one. Works great. You get 2 hours monthly. You know what? That built-in video, or the built-in video editor in Windows, just type in video editor in the little search bar. I mean, it's fantastic. You can highlight a bunch of pictures, right mouse click. You can build a slideshow in like 3 minutes of a bunch of pictures. But it also does video editing as well. It's pretty powerful. So, and it's just from Windows. Like, who would have thought? Obviously, we all know iMovie. Camtasia. Sometimes people have Camtasia in their shop, or Adobe Premiere, and now we're getting more expensive, right? These are paid versions. There's probably 100 free or cheap tools that I would love to hear about from you guys, because you guys are probably using some stuff. You're probably saying, why doesn't he say this one? So I'd love to hear about it. Host on Anchor, right? Anchor FM, or YouTube. Anchor is audio. YouTube is, right? And then follow Faith Dye. She is a local Madison video person. She did a craft marketing, 3 months ago, 2-3 months ago. And I learned a ton, and she will teach you how to make engaging videos. So follow her. That's her LinkedIn right there. All right. Whew. Let me take a drink of water here. That's the most validating message I've ever received. Okay. This is from a person who we fired a client. We fired a client a few years ago, and we gave over our client and the podcast I had started over to another association management company. That happened 3 years ago, right? Then I get this message from March. Tony, you don't know me, but I took over the podcast you left. First of all, I silently thank you in my head once a week for starting this podcast, because it has been a real game changer in terms of being able to sell memberships and generate revenue. So thank you. But I also wanted to let you know the podcast just reached 100,000 downloads. Ugh. Oh my God. I could not believe this just happened in March. That was crazy. I just started this podcast. Now, Lisa did a great job. I did the first 12,000, which I was amazed. 12,000 downloads in 6 months. And then we moved on, right? So all credit goes to Lisa for getting it to 100,000. But it's nice to know that something, that I started kind of on a whim, not knowing what I was doing, but I knew I needed to sell memberships and sell sponsorships and generate revenue and make this website I took over successful that actually works. It hit me. It was amazing. Now, not every podcast is going to get 100,000 downloads, but I guarantee you, if you only have 1,000 people a year that listen to it, or 500, it's the right group to listen to you, right? Where else can you get that many people listen to you in a room or anywhere else, right? So if you do it and you're niche and focused about it, it will be successful, right? Just the only reason it won't be successful is if you quit, right? Keep at it. Okay. So that was amazing. I loved that. That was a great message here. That made my whole week that week. So there's 5 tips plus a lot of bonus little items. We've only scratched the surface. So I would love to hear, well, first of all, we can take any questions, but I'd love for any of you to share, like, what didn't I mention? I see Jessica, thanks for mentioning you use Canva and Powtoon, great tools. I'd love to learn, like, what other tools are out there. So if anybody wants to step up to the mic and mention anything that tools or tips, what's saved your bacon out there?
Hi, Tony. So one of the ways that we have used Canva is not just, yay, it's a free tool instead of Photoshop and other Adobe aspects, but is to actually give our ambassadors the templates, use them. So you get into a little bit of issues if you start using images that are only available to pros, and then all of a sudden you have somebody who has a free account and wants to use an image and they can't use it. So we have to be mindful of that. But when I saw the post on LinkedIn that somebody else shared, it wasn't just, oh, this is our post that we gave you, please repost it exactly, but do what you want, make it yours a little bit, but here's still our branding. So the place that I work with is in Europe, and so it needs to be able to translate in multiple languages, but at least it still looks like us and it sounds like us and them. But you get into, we have a pro account, do they not? But the templates have been really helpful.
I love that. That's a great idea. I've never thought about like accessing each other's like templates through Canva. I suppose one idea to be able to get around that is, create a template, export it out, but create a little space that they could customize it maybe or something like that, or make it their own.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah, exactly.
Fantastic. And which organization do you work for?
Thanks. So I am sent by an American organization called InterVarsity to work with its European partners. So it's weird. It's the Revive movement, and it's also becoming its own nonprofit right now. So it's a whole complicated stage of how do I talk about what I do, but we'll call it the Revive movement.
Awesome. And what do you do there? What sort of,
marketing director. Yeah. Okay. I wear a lot of hats, but trying to only have it be marketing director. And then I run an intern team who actually runs Instagram and all the Facebook and stuff like that. So.